Hey there, scabby scummers and gangers. Crimson Oracle here with another battle report on Dome Runners TV. This time is a custom arbitrated scenario that I did based on the caravan heist scenario from the hardcover rulebook, but I changed things around to make it about instead of a vehicle convoy with a large amount of material on it, instead this was two of the resin Chocobo models that I 3D printed a few weeks back. They were a lot of fun to put together and to paint, and once I did, couldn't deny myself the opportunity to come up with a scenario to use them. I also had a chance to come up with some custom rules for using bikes. These are a little different from the usual rules that I used to use on occasion. They were instead a bit of a riff on the Saar grav cutter rules with some minor changes to account for the fact that they are on wheels and not not floating above the battlefield. So basically it's a lot like the grav cutter, but the bike interacts with terrain. It can't climb terrain, and it isn't giving your opponent a major bonus to hit because it's so easy to see you. So that about covers that. This is yet another showdown between Saar and Orlock in my small campaign that I'm running with some friends. I actually have started a new campaign as well where I'm playing Delac. If you go to the Dome Runners Facebook or Twitter pages, you can see some pictures of those games as well. And of course, if you enjoy these videos, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, because that's how how YouTube knows that you want my content, and that's how I wind up getting more exposure and more reach. So it's always appreciated when you do. This is a short intro. It's a long battle report. Not the longest that I've done, but I edited pretty heavily. It was 2.5 hours of raw footage or so. And I hit 300 subscribers over the weekend, by the way. So big thanks to all of you guys for coming out and supporting the channel. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and toss to my servo skull Wally, who will handle the rest. Wally, you take it from here.
Greetings, human viewers. I am Servo Skull Wally, here again to introduce you to the gangs for this battle. First, we have the Orlock Kane Train returning to do battle with their hated rivals, the Saar Sean's Dandies. The entire Orlock gang showed up with the exception of 2 wreckers who were in recovery. In response to these shortages, the Orlock House provided 2 bikers to fill in the Orlock staff. Orlock included their leader with bolt pistol and power fist, their champions, both of whom have heavy stubbers, an arms master with combat shotgun, a ganger with a bolt gun, a ganger with a auto gun, and a wrecker with flail and auto pistol. The bikers were armed with a bolter and hand flamer. Additionally, the Orlock player would bring in a rebel lord using a tactics card. The rebel lord was the one who hired the gangs for their contract. Orlock takes the tactics cards, click, and protection duty. Sean's Dandies were down a couple of fighters due to injuries, but were able to use the difference to recruit Freikstorn Strix, also known colloquially as Underhive Batman, to assist in their attempted caravan heist. The gang features their leader, Rick, who has a plasma pistol and power knife, and 2 cyberarachnids, an augmech with a plasma gun, an archaeotech with rad beamer, 2 techs with las carbines, and a tech specialist with plasma gun, as well as a neotech with las gun. Then Saar gets the Melt-A-Trap Tactics card, as well as Warforge, which adds 1 to all ammo checks. For this mission, the Orlocks would be the defenders, transporting 2 Chocobos as part of a caravan. If they can get one or both across the battlefield to the opposing board edge, they will win the mission. Van Saar's goal is to capture both of the Chocobos. Each Chocobo is worth 1d6 times 10 credits, and each gang receives an additional 1d6 times 10 credits. The Chocobos work similarly to the vehicle from the caravan heist scenario, but they can only be ridden by one rider, and you cannot get onto them unless you have defeated and removed the rider on top. Once the Van Saar takes the Chocobos, their goal is to get to any board edge that is not the far board edge. If they succeed, then the rider and the Chocobo leave the board and the rider receives D3 bonus XP. The battlefield is set up as a strip down the center of an ash waste town. The Van Saar are deploying far out from their opponents, 18 inches from the Chocobos, while the Orlock must deploy within 12 inches of the Chocobos. Orlock deploys his fighters on different sides of the board, hoping to split his opponent's focus. Van Saar tries to spread across the middle to create a web of interception. With that, the battle begins.
The game begins in earnest. The tie on the roll-off for priority in the first round, and we decide to give that priority roll to the defender. And so he will activate his Road Sergeant and Cyber Mastiff and move the Road Sergeant up a little bit. And he targets the Cyber Arachnid. He hits 4 times. And the Cyber Arachnid is seriously injured on the first 3 rolls. And then takes a flesh wound, which will take him out of action. He gets a 56, or enfeebled. Since he already received one of those results, it's enough that he is permanently killed. The Augmech activates and moves up to shoot at the Orlock Road Boss, who just killed the Spider. It's a group activation. The Road Boss has the Iron Stare legendary rules, so make a successful cool check to target him. The Plasma Gun hits and it has an ammo check rolled. And will go out of ammo. And the shot fails to wound. The Road Sergeant is pinned, however. The tech takes an aim shot at the Road Sergeant from above, but misses. And of course, we forgot to move the Chocobos, so those get moved up. Orlock will group activate his leader and a ganger, and they move up on the side of the board. And so Van Saar group activates his prime and his tech and a cyberachnid. The tech will throw down a Melta trap. And the Neotech is also part of the group activation, moves up and throws a rad grenade. The rad grenade, unfortunately for Van Saar, will scatter. Scatters 3 inches away from them and into the shipping crate. The rad grenade does not run out of ammo, however. Prime and Cyberachnid double move and climb up on a building, and the Orlock Wrecker will charge them in response. The Wrecker's auto pistol does not hit, leaving the flail. One hit with the flail, but it fails to wound. The Van Saar reaction attack with plasma pistol hits and successfully wounds. And the Wrecker fails his armor save. He is seriously injured. The Wrecker is killed by the remaining power knife attacks from the Prime and gets a 54 hobbled -1 movement result. Van Saar will now activate the Archaeotech and Cyberachnid. The Archaeotech targets a bike with a rad beamer, but the shot misses. Orlock activates the Chocobo Rider and targets the Van Saar Prime. The bolt gun will miss. Van Saar activates Frykestorm Strix. Strix takes aim at the Orlock Road Sergeant. Unfortunately, this shot actually misses. So Orlock activates his other Road Sergeant to get up and move forward. And he targets Strix with the Heavy Stemmer. The Heavy Stemmer hits twice. One of those shots will wound. Strix fails his armor save and takes a wound. Van Saar will next activate his tech specialist, who will move over and open fire at the Orlock biker. The plasma gun hits once. and manages to do a wound. The biker fails his armor save, and the biker is seriously injured. The Orlock biker with a hand flavor moves and shoots the Neotech. The hand flamer wounds and passes an ammo check. And the Neotech fails his armor save. The Neotech will go out of action. And the Neotech rolls an into recovery result. The Rebel Lord activates and moves up to take a shot at Strix. Unfortunately for him, the bolt pistol hits but must take an ammo check and goes out of ammo. The pistol successfully wounds, and Strix fails his armor save, and Strix receives 2 flesh wounds. The Orlock Arms Master activates. He will take a shot at the Saar Prime. The Arms Master passes his cool check. But the combat shotgun misses and has an ammo check. He passes the ammo check. This is the bottom of turn 1. The Orlock biker remains seriously injured. Orlock wins the priority roll for the second turn in a row. And we remember to move the Chocobos up. Orlock group activates his road boss and a ganger, and the ganger moves up the ladder and shoots at Strix. He hits with the autogun once, and it wounds. Strix fails his armor save, and he will go out of action. The road boss also moves up. He will take a shot at the Archaeotech on the far building. But the shot will miss. Then Saar activates his Prime and Cyberarachnid. And the Orlock biker is successfully webbed. But the Arms Master is not webbed. The Saar Prime moves up and shoots at the ganger on the Chocobo. His plasma pistol hits and manages to wound. The Orlock ganger fails his armor save and is seriously injured, falling off of the Chocobo. The Orlock Road Sergeant will stand up and target the Saar Augmech. The heavy stubber hits 4 times. And manages to wound twice. We made a mistake here and forgot about the AP, so both passed. And Ogmek fails his initiative check and falls down the floor. And the Van Saar will activate the tech with the Las Carbine, who shoots at the Road Sergeant. It hits once. And it wounds. And the Road Sergeant takes his first wound. The Orlock Arms Master stands up. And he will again fire up at that building, this time targeting the Cyberarachnid. The combat shotgun misses, so we roll for stray shots. One of the stray shots hits the Van Saar Prime. It successfully wounds. And the Prime passes his armor check. The Ogmek will activate and stand up. And target the Orlock Road Sergeant. The lasgun hits. And fails to wound. The other Road Sergeant stands up. He also takes aim at the Prime Cyberarachnid. The heavy stubber hits 6 times. And it wounds. And the Cyberarachnid goes out of action. Cyberarachnid gets an 11, meaning he goes into recovery, but gains D3 XP. He rolls 2 bonus XP. Then Saar activates a tech specialist who takes an aim shot at an Orlock ganger. And hits successfully for 3. Plasma gun wounds twice. And the Orlock ganger fails both saves. The ganger is seriously injured and takes a flesh wound. Orlock activates the webbed biker and crawls forward. Then Saar activates the Archaeotech to shoot his rad beamer at the Orlock leader, which hits 3 times. It wounds once. The road boss takes a wound. And gets a flesh wound from Radphage. Orlock biker crawls forward. And Van Saar activates a tech and moves to shoot at the Road Sergeant. Van Saar tech aims and shoots at the Road Sergeant. But the shot is a miss. The seriously injured Orlock ganger crawls forward. The Rebel Lord will activate and try twice to reload, but fails both attempts. And we're at the bottom of turn 2. Orlock passes his bottle check. And the webbed biker is freed. And a ganger with bolter stays seriously injured. And the other biker stays seriously injured. The ganger on top of the tank recovers. Orlock again wins priority. And the Chocobos move 6 inches. The road sergeant will fire at the Saar tech. But he misses. The Saar Prime stands up and will shoot at the other road sergeant. But the plasma pistol fails to wound. In direct retaliation, the road sergeant stands back up and shoots at the Saar Prime. And hits 3 times. The heavy stubber wounds twice. But the Prime makes both of his armor saves. The Arm Master will move up. Being extremely careful not to trigger the Melt-A-Trap. The Archaeotech again activates and shoots at the Orlock Road boss. The Rad Beamer will hit, but it fails to wound. However, Rad Phage does another flesh wound. The boss is now toughness 2. Orlock Ganger stands up and takes a shot at the Cyberarachnid. He passes his cool check to target past another fighter, but misses and has to take an ammo check, which passes. Then Saar tech activates and targets the bike, and the shot hits. The shot wounds, and the road sergeant fails his armor save. The other road sergeant advances. He passes a cool check to shoot past a target. And he hits. It wounds twice. And the Archaeotech fails 1 armor save and takes a wound. The Saar activate the tech next to the Archaeotech next, who takes a shot at the boss, but misses. Orlock Bike makes a double action to stand up, and the Saar Augmech fires a las gun at the bike. But the shot is a miss. Due to some confusion, we get our wires crossed and move the Chocobo up again, thinking we missed it at the start of the turn. The riderless Chocobo sets off the melt-a-bomb, but it doesn't have any wounds, so it can't be injured. The trap does go off successfully, but no one is in range to be injured. Then Saar activates a tech and rushes to wrangle the Chocobo. He takes the opportunity to grab it and steer it towards the board edge. The Chocobo has a rule that lets it destroy Scatter Train. Orlock activates the Rebel Lord, who moves and attempts to reload but fails. The Orlock Road Boss activates and stands up. He fires at the Van Saar tech and successfully hits. The bolt pistol wounds. And the tech fails his armor save. The tech takes a flesh wound and a serious injury. We have reached the bottom of turn 3. Neither of the players can bottle yet. Orlock Ganger with Bolter recovers. And the other bike bleeds out. And the Van Saar tech stays seriously injured. Each player is now in control of a Chocobo and makes their moves. Then Saar manages to get their Chocobo off the board and earns D3 XP for the rider. Then Saar wins priority and activates an Augmech, who fires his lasgun at the bike. And the shot hits, but fails to wound. Orlock responds by having a Ganger fire at the Archaeotech Cyberarachnid. But the Ganger's autogun misses, and the Ganger leaps the gap to try to close the distance, but fails his initiative check, falling and taking his last flesh wound. But he's only knocked out cold and doesn't go into recovery. The Archaeotech and Cyberarachnid activate. He stands up and moves down the ramp, preparing to intercept the final Chocobo. Orlock activates his Arms Master, who stands up and targets the Augmech. The combat shotgun hits twice. To wound once. But the Augmech passes his armor save. Van Saar activates his tech, who moves down. The tech attempts to go halfway down the ladder and then jump over a barrier, but fails and is pinned. The Rebel Lord moves and gets on the Chocobo. Then Saar activates his Prime, who stands up to take a shot at the Rebel Lord. But the plasma pistol misses and must take an ammo check. However, it does not run out of ammo. The Road Sergeant fires his heavy stubber at the Van Saar Prime. He hits twice and rolls an ammo check. And it will go out of ammunition. It wounds once. And the Prime fails his armor save and takes his first wound. The Orlock bike will activate and move up to flame the Van Saar Augmech. The flamer fails to wound, but the Augmech is subject to the blaze condition. The Orlock leader moves up. The Orlock Road Sergeant stands up and moves, and the Cyber Mastiff comes along with. We've reached the bottom of turn 4. Van Saar passes his bottle check, and Orlock still can't bottle due to having recovered from the time he did need to take a bottle check. Van Saar Tech will recover. Orlock wins priority for turn 5. And the Chocobo is moved forward. Orlock activates his bike and moves up to shoot at the Archaeotech. The hand flamer will wound the Archaeotech and the Cyberarachnid. The Archaeotech gets his armor save with bonus from the barricade and makes it, but is subject to the blaze condition. The Cyberarachnid makes his save from the barricade and is not subject to the blaze condition. Then Saar activates his Archaeotech, who takes a hit from blaze, but isn't injured. He will run 7 inches. He fails to put himself out, and the Cyberarachnid will stand up and chase after his leader. The Rebel Lord will activate and make a fight action with the versatile Digi-Lasers. Both manage to hit, but neither wounds. Rebel Lord attempts and fails to reload his bolt pistol, and Van Saar activates his tech, who stands up and shoots at the Rebel Lord. But the Las Carbide misses. The Orlock will activate the Road Sergeant and shoot at the Cyberarachnid, and misses with 4 shots. The heavy stubber will accidentally hit the Rebel Lord with stray shots and wound the Rebel Lord once, but the Rebel Lord passes his armor save and his initiative check to stay on. Then Saar activates his tech and shoots at the Rebel Lord. Gun will hit the Rebel Lord and manage to wound. The Rebel Lord passes his armor check and initiative check to stay on. The Orlock Armsmaster moves up and shoots at the Van Saar tech. The shot misses and there's an ammo check. And the heavy stubber will go out of ammunition. Van Saar activates his prime to stand and move. And Orlock activates his Ganger to shoot at the Van Saar Prime. But the bolt gun shot will miss. The Van Saar activates the blazed augmech. Does not take a wound. And the augmech runs 7 inches off the side of a building. The augmech will fail his initiative check and take a hit from falling, but falling does not cause a wound either, and he stays blazed. Orlock activates the road boss, who moves up to shoot the cyberarachnid. But his bolt pistol will miss. Bottom of turn 5, Van Saar does not bottle, and Orlock still can't. The Chocobo moves up, and it becomes clear that regardless of what happens this turn, Orlock has this game in the bag. Van Saar wins the priority roll for this turn. The Van Saar tech fires a las gun at the Rebel Lord, and it wounds. But the Rebel Lord fails his armor save and takes a wound, but he passes his initiative check. Orlock activates the Road Sergeant and Ganger. The Ganger with the bolt gun shoots at the Prime, hits for 2, but fails to wound. The Road Sergeant moves up and also shoots at the Prime. He hits 3 times. He wounds once. And the Prime passes his armor save again. Prime will stand up and target the Orlock Ganger. The plasma pistol hits, but must roll an ammo check. And the plasma pistol will go out of ammo. It wounds once. And the Ganger takes 2 flesh wounds. The Orlock Road Boss moves up to take a shot at the cyberarachnid. He hits. And wounds. And the cyberarachnid will take a flesh wound and is seriously injured. Van Saar activates the tech and targets the Rebel Lord. Misses and must take an ammo check, but passes the ammo check. Orlock activates his bike and moves to flame that tech. The hand flamer does not wound, and the tech is not affected by blaze. Van Saar activates the augmech, who is blazed. He takes a wound and fails his armor save. and runs 9 inches. And he stays blazed. Orlock activates the Arms Master, who charges the Cyberarachnid, who is seriously injured. He passes his cool check, and he coos. 23 out cold. Then Saar activates the Archaeotech, who does not take a wound from Blaze. And he will run 4 inches. And successfully puts himself out. Orlock Road Sergeant targets the Vansar Prime. But the shot is a miss with an ammo check. And the stubber goes out of ammo. And finally, turn 7, the Chocobo manages to get off the board. Orlock is successful in completing the mission. Both players earn 2d6 times 10 credits. Orlock earns 40. Vansar earns 80. And Vansar gets an extra 20 from Fixer. Orlock wins 3 turf and 3 reputation. And thank you so much to everyone for watching. It's a pleasure to make these. This one was a lot of work, so please don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, thank you to my patrons who give me support to keep this show going. You too can become a patron. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/domerunners. Check the show notes for a link. And of course, if you're interested in more Necromunda stuff, don't forget to check out my podcast, domerunners.buzzsprout.com. You can also find me on iTunes and all your major podcast gateways. And of course, everybody stay safe and don't forget to change your paint water.